Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we are going to focus on the investment opportunities here in the country in Egypt, between the challenges and the aspirations for better opportunities for the future. And I am honored to be having with me over the course of the program for tonight Dr. Salah Arafa, the professor at the American University in Cairo. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
You are welcome, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much. We will be starting straight away with the investment in Egypt and the economic agenda for Egypt in 2030. We will be having more details regarding such an important topic in the upcoming reports. Stay tuned.
The Egypt Vision 2030 strategy, more of an ambitious and precise roadmap, paves the way for the nation's long-term economic ambitions as well as macroeconomic investments. Launched in 2016, the strategy aims to create a competitive, balanced and diversified economy that supports innovation and knowledge, social justice, economic development and the environment. The concrete economic goals of the investment map includes raising the nation's annual GDP growth rate to 12%, its GDP per capita to $10,000, and its share of global GDP to 1%. At the same time, the strategy established the objective of reducing unemployment to 5%, bringing the inflation rate to between 3% and 5%, and lowering public debt as a share of GDP to 75%. The strategy identifies implementing nearly 80 programs and projects in the bid to drive economic growth through to 2030. This includes the development of river transportation, business leadership programs, logistics centers, and environmental projects. The General Authority for Investment and Free Zones, GAFI, has identified a wide range of sectors that Egypt's competitive advantage makes suitable for further development. Egypt's expectations of rich geology support, an enlarged mining industry, energy variety programs, and a favorable climate for solar power make renewable energy a key growth sector, while expecting agriculture and land reclamation by the government's drive towards food sufficiency. Egypt's already developed tourism industry is set to receive a boost through an increased number of visitor sites, upgrades to security infrastructure, and improvements in travel industry standards. Continued reforms to the financial and insurance sectors, meanwhile, expect to attract greater capital to the country and support growth in other industries such as real estate, oil and gas, chemicals, and petroleum, transport and textiles. Egypt has accordingly adopted various policies and enacted laws to improve the country's position with foreign investors. Investment in Egypt was earlier governed by the investment guarantees and incentives, which was repealed by Investment Law number 72 of the year 2017. Promote the new law aims to foreign investment in Egypt by simplifying the process while improving the national economic growth rate. Employment opportunities, promotion of exports, and sustainable development are some of the promotion benefits that are aimed through this law, and great emphasis has been laid out on the social responsibilities of foreign investors in the territory. The competent authorities aim to enhance foreign investment in Egypt, local manufacturing and infrastructure of Egypt.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I am honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Salah Arafa, the professor at the American University in Cairo. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight. I would like to know more about the investment opportunities here in the country. How would you assess those opportunities of investment?
Well, I must say that the strategy planned for the country is well done. And we hope that all members of what we call it, the triangle,
Yes.
the magic triangle, where we have the government strategy should be supported by the private sector and the civil society. The three could really put together something very important. I was so happy to hear that we have new companies coming up as shareholders for investment in agriculture and in environment, which is something very important to involve the individuals, the citizens, and the people who can afford putting something small to make something big and to help the country, government, for really implementing our great goals for achieving the environmental sustainability.
Yes, Doctor, you mentioned that we have a triangle and it has two main partners in it, the civil society or the civil organizations and the private sector. If we can focus on the private sector, what is the role of the private sector in attracting more direct foreign investments into the local market?
Well, I'm so happy that when we put the sort of strategy for the private sector to share our ambitions of local industry, increase production, I must say that we have not the three magic triangle,
yes,
but I could say that we have three very important circles: consumption, production, and waste. We need to push for the three circles. We need to conserve the consumption, to what we call it, recycle the waste,
yes,
and to increase and improve the production. In any sector, you talk about energy, yes, we need to put some light off and keep for the production and so on.
within the household itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it really means that you have to say, what is my important role and how to cooperate with the other. Without these two, we are not doing anything.
Yes, consumption, production, and waste. What is the importance of having more awareness for the Egyptian citizens regarding this important triangle in terms of production in any field and, of course, the consumption of the citizens in any field as well, especially in the holy month of Ramadan?
Thank you for raising the question.
Anytime.
The most important thing that we need to do is really to provide the public with this awareness. But not only awareness in TV or in the newspaper or whatever,
Yes.
but to teach them how to do it. And this is coming for education and training. So I don't need to say, please don't make this waste. But I need to say how to do it and how to make it more useful and how to improve the health, the food, and so on. And I think for all the audience watching us today and now, I could say that whatever we are really taking is really depending on what we know, and it will affect our health and our future. How? Well, to tell you, what we see, what we hear,
Yes.
what we smell, what we eat are really important for our health and our future. How could we make sure that they are healthy, they are clean, they are environmentally well? We need to get this information through, not only by the media, but also by the importance of bridging between the schools and the communities, the universities and the communities, between the private sector and the schools. I think the private sector and the industry needs to open their doors for the young children, because they are the ones to think for our future.
Another triangle that you have mentioned, Doctor, is that there is a triangle between the government, the civil society, and the private sector. We have spoken about the role of the private sector. In your opinion, what is the importance of the civil society organizations in terms of having more awareness for the citizens and quite possibly attracting more foreign direct investment into the local market?
Well, if the government and the private sector don't train and make the civil society aware, they are the one to reach the public, not the government, not the private sector, the head of the factory or whatever.
Yes.
But the civil society can reach the public. What we need to do is to offer them the information, and that is why I personally am very interested in forming a group of volunteers like me, volunteers to do what? Transfer knowledge and appropriate technology from where it exists to where it is needed. Who can do it? Well, good children from school, good students from the university, young researchers, good scientists, but we need to open them. And sir, if you give me 1 minute,
Yes.
I can tell you something very important.
Please take your time.
Of course, when you really have a great person and a great man, and when he comes to Egypt, everyone would like to listen to him. Farouk al-Baz for the universe and
Yes.
NASA and so on. Or Hani Norashi from Germany, young, very well-known scientist in all Europe.
Yes.
Okay. But who knows them? Maybe me and you. But the farmer in a village who wouldn't even know the name.
Yes.
If the civil society, which have the reach with this, we can make the arrangement and take the person, and he can himself even do this, what we call it, community dialogue with the people who can really help in the process of reaching the 2030, our hope for the future.
Yes, Doctor, you mentioned that there is a triangle between the consumption, the production, and the waste. I would like to know more about the assessment of yourself to the statements made by the political leadership and represented in His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi regarding those three elements in the Egyptian society: the consumption, the production, and the waste, especially in this holy month. How do you see the statements made almost every year by the President?
Every year and every month. And I think it's really very encouraging.
Yes.
What we need is to help the cooperation of the three triangle component to do that and to reach the individual. And as you said, the three components of the government and the private sector, as well as the civil society, if they cooperate together to really make the process of transferring the knowledge and the technology, it is very, very important. As we were talking few days ago about if you have a farmer in a village very far away, and he has some chicken, group of chicken in 2 square meters. You should ask the question, what is he doing with the waste of the chicken? He doesn't know. But if you can reach him to his place and to tell him, it will be very easy to dig a hole and take this sort of waste and make it fermented. You can produce gas for your kitchen as well as fertilizer for your land.
To teach him the know-how, what can be done with what he has?
Well, you need to tell him first, and second, to make it easy for him to know how to do it. And if it will cost something, I would make it sure for him to take it as installment for a long time. If you tell me, if I want to have this digging and so on, and it will cost £1,000, thank you. He will disappear. But if you tell him, okay, what about £100 a month?
As an installment?
Not installment. Pay back, because this is his.
Yes.
And it will help him, and it will benefit him and his family. But I cannot pay the 1,000 Egyptian pound as a sum.
At once, yes.
Who is going to do that? Not even the bank. But as we said before, that if the bank deals with an NGO, it is done. Because you have an organization, well-registered, well-known, have a civil, a sort of directors, and they are the one to do that.
On the ground, and they know the people who needs what.
Dear, this is what we have done in the village of Basaisa 50 years ago. Why? Because anyone who would like to make a solar cell, who would like to make a biogas, he doesn't have the money. Even if we can give him the training and he knows how to do it.
Yes.
But how much? It is too much? Thank you. But if you tell him, even if you are connected to the grid and you have to pay £50 or £100 a month for the lighting and for whatever you need, okay, pay it for us, and then you will have a clean, good energy for your home and for your future.
Yes, Doctor, of course, Egypt is aiming to be an energy hub for the green hydrogen by 2026. What is the importance of switching the investments in general for the entire globe into clean energy, and more specifically in Africa and in Egypt, as recently we hosted the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh?
Well, really what I could come to my 3 factors as I teach it in the university even.
Yes.
We have water, food, and energy.
Yes.
The 3.
For any society.
They are the must for the development of any society. You need to have the water to make the land,
Yes.
to make the agriculture, to produce food, to process food, and to eat food, and to drink.
Yes.
That's the one. If we don't know how to keep it, how to consume it, how to produce it, forget it. There will be lots of problems.
And how to use its waste.
The second is very important, which is really the food. Okay, sometimes people would say, okay, water and food have something to do with environment. What about energy? Well, if you have a groundwater, how to dig it out? You need energy. Okay, we are doing now pumping using solar energy. But I need to know, and not only to know, but to have the process that it would make it easy for me to do it. The thing that is really needed in the whole thing of doing the food, what villagers will do for feeding us if we visit them.
Yes.
Fire in the oven. Okay, that produce
Energy.
no. It produce also CO2.
Yes.
What we need is to say we can use the agricultural waste in something useful, but to use the sun for producing electricity that we need for whatever it is. So I think this sort of integration as well as cooperation is very important to really do it between the three sectors of government, private sector, as well as the civil society. And what we need really, the thousands of small villages far away from us, and the thousands of small communities in the desert of Egypt. And let me tell you, to finish the triangle.
Yes.
You know, in 1994, we have in Egypt what we call it the inhabitants and development, which means you need to say, what do we have problems with the structure of the society in terms of humans? Yes. There are three. One, the density in any place. Density, number.
Yes, of people.
Of people.
Of the population, yes.
Okay. That's a problem. Why? Because if we have in this room 2 people, that's okay. But if we have 10 people, everyone is processing CO2,
yes,
and it becomes a problem. So, what about if we have 100? It's 2 problems. But the second very important problem is this number of people. Are they educated? Are they aware? Are they thinking? Are they planning? Are they cooperating? This is missing. The third, which is very important, is the distribution. If anyone would look for the map of Egypt, we have 80% of our land as desert, available for agriculture, available for production, available for everything.
Until now, despite all of the projects and all of the infrastructure that we have constructed over the past 10 years.
Yeah. And it means that if you really have people who have no jobs, who are looking for jobs, people who are educated and sitting at home, but to tell them, come, I will train you, you can go and build the desert communities with using the way to harness the rain. Nobody knows how to do it. To get the water from the ground, to make light from no connection to the grid. These are the science. And we need to provide this science from the government research centers and from the private companies who can afford giving this in installment for a long term. And here is a way to provide what we call it the green economy.
Yes, that's a very important point. And I will return to the triangles that you have mentioned, Doctor, after this upcoming report. And we will be focusing during this report on the investment opportunities between Egypt and the European Union, as well as the opportunities that we'll be having in the upcoming near future. We will be having more details in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned.
Investment is not a new area in bilateral relationship between Egypt and EU. It is an important component of EU-Egypt bilateral association agreement, which specifically refers to the identification of investment opportunities in Egypt. European FDI amounts to 39 billion euros in terms of stocks and is about 38% of all investments. Biggest in Africa, second largest in the Mediterranean. Egypt has many advantages as an investment destination: geostrategic location, land availability, solar and wind power capacity, skilled human capital, as well as a big domestic market. It can easily serve as a manufacturing hub for Africa and the MENA region. Investment facilitation policies in Egypt have become an increasingly important aspect of a sound and sustainable investment climate. Investors need predictability and transparency, streamlined authorization procedures ensuring the swift processing of applications, focal points, one-stop shops to facilitate the interaction between investors and the administration, and legal certainty about the investment regime, including on taxes and incentives. Moreover, this must be coupled with solid intellectual property protection and a fair and quick dispute resolution mechanism. Egypt has been making important steps in this direction. At the Economic Conference, Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli affirmed that improving the investment climate remains one of the hardest challenges facing Egypt, and that the government would be making considerable efforts to attract investment through regularity changes and through upgrading infrastructure. A good example of the latter is, of course, with the development of the Suez Canal Economic Zone. The recently announced economic reforms and policy initiatives, such as the state ownership policy, the competitive neutrality principle, the forthcoming new industrial and hydrogen policies, point towards a new investment framework in Egypt. A stable business and legal environment and a level playing field between the private and the public sector are necessary conditions for attracting new investments in Egypt. Any new policy initiative should have at least its core the objective of attracting sustainable investment. Investment is no longer an exercise only measured in monetary terms. The sustainability angle of investment is also of paramount importance. Investment needs to be good for the host country in terms of improving social rights, health and safety conditions, and be conducive to good environmental practices. In other words, Egypt needs investment to promote sustainable development through diversification, regional integration, and better equipping the Egyptian economy for the challenges of digitalization and the transition to a net zero economy. The EU responds positively to such policies. the global development have led the EU to review its trade and investment strategy and focus more on the need to nearshore supply chains and to secure new sources of supply for energy, with an emphasis on renewable energies and low carbon fuels.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Salah Arafa, the professor at the American University in Cairo. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight. We did see over the past report the investment opportunities between Egypt and the European Union. How do you see the efforts of the political leadership under His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli to be attracting foreign direct investments from the European Union in specific?
A great effort, and I think it is timely to really open our heads and our hands to get the investors to come to Egypt, and we together can go to Africa and to Asia and to the other regions. I think we are qualified. It's just the point that I will come back to the most important thing.
Yes.
It is not enough to say that we have investing and meetings with high top officials, but we need to incorporate the civil society. Because when we need workers in any industry, here or somewhere, we need these people who are really looking for a job, looking for additional income, and to prevent what we call it sometimes the illegal migration.
Yes.
How to do it? Well, let us make it a legal migration. We arrange it. Anyone who would be interested to really work somewhere, we are willing to organize it. And you have the people who are aware of what is needed and aware of where it is needed. And if we can distribute, for example, if we say, well, I have an industry in Suez Canal.
Yes.
Okay? But I have someone who's looking for a job in Sohag. It's a problem. Why? Because I can't leave my home, I can't leave my place, I can't leave my family and go somewhere, look for a job, but waste our money or our salary for finding how to eat and how to do and how. So it just needs to really get the information together and the components of the three by really sitting together to solve the problems. When we need to solve the problem is, okay, if you say we have an excellent plant internationally existing in Aswan.
Yes.
The solar
Ben.
bin bang. Okay. But the people in Sohag, they don't even know. They haven't seen even in the TV because this is not their target. But it is important, and I would say through your very important debate that please, we need to take our young people from schools and from universities to see these places and to think how to do it better and how to do it more and how to participate in the plan that the government have for the sustainable future.
Yes, how to develop it even further for the future. Dr. Salah Arafa, the professor at the American University in Cairo, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Pleasure.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching and goodbye.